give and rejoice in the memories of her husband.
At 5:59 on Saturday morning, I told Yolandi, the waiting is almost over. You give it that kind of optimism, and 2 hours later you get a call to say he's not anymore. It's devastating. I'm very sad for her, but she's a very strong woman.
That's AM News, daily at 10 a.m. on SABC News.
Let's just start there at the beginning. Joburg Ballet Company is set on drawing all attention to the power of dance this year. The company has launched an awareness campaign called the Pirouette Challenge, already doing the rounds on social media. Hashtag Feed Your Soul. The campaign, similar to the ALS Bucket Challenge, aims to promote healthy choices for kids with an active lifestyle through ballet. Everyone is being challenged to rise to the challenge by twirling on one leg in any style, costume or any outrageous platform you want. But here to tell us more is ballet entrepreneur Dirk Badenhorst himself. Welcome to Newsroom this morning, Dirk.
Good morning and thank you very much.
Dirk, similar to the ALS Bucket Challenge, can you tell us where you came up with the idea for the Pirouette Challenge and exactly how it works?
We had Harvard Business School MBA students come and do the third year in a row a case study on the company, and they were trying to find ways to further heighten our awareness in South Africa and around the world. And so many people know that the State Theatre closed down and the ballet company closed down, but not many people know that the ballet company is up and alive and that we are doing amazing work with the kids of South Africa. Last year we did about 40 schools in Soweto, where more than 40,000 kids got to see the ballet company perform. And so like the ALS Bucket Challenge, we put out this challenge to say, let's try and raise awareness and money to try and keep as many kids on the program with us, to get kids to be trained with us in the ballet, to get kids to know what a healthy lifestyle is through the ballet, and to just start being off the streets, not take drugs, not be violent in the way that they protest their unhappinesses. So Harvard Business School then came up with the idea, and then our PR and publicist gentleman, Lindsay MacDonald, said, well, let's take the pirouette, because the pirouette is such an integral part of ballet. Every performance that you do has a pirouette in it, and so we decided that's what we wanted to do. And we got the Harvard Business School challenging the Springboks, the Lions. We've had people now starting to challenge TV presenters, radio presenters. We've got famous people. The Oprah Winfrey School will be Oprah. One of our patrons will be challenging Naomi Campbell. And so that's what we are trying to do, is to really create this awareness. You saw now cars doing donuts, which are pirouettes. You've seen people on canoes doing turns in the water. We've had boxers, we've had cage fighters do it. We've had hip-hoppers come and hop on one hand or turning on their heads. And that's really what it's about. It is really taking whatever it is that you feel comfortable with and make that into a pirouette, and then really challenge on. The Joburg Ballet Pirouette Challenge is really to ensure that we reach people that have not even known that the ballet company exists, have not known that our development programs exist, and now it does, and people need to know about it, and that's what the whole purpose of it is.
Those development programs, it's all about getting the kids off of the streets and into dancing shoes. Can you tell us a bit more about those development programs? I know you're very close with the Cuban Ballet Theatre and everything as well.
Well, I heard earlier this morning we spoke about having to speak about non-racialism, and this is really what it is about. This is really the value of the ballet company. It's about social cohesion. It's about taking all South Africans, no matter your race, no matter your sex, no matter your economic background, but it levels you and puts you into one space. And so what we've done is we've started training dancers in the company on the Cuban methodology. We are training the company to be ballet dancers in the Cuban methodology. And so our kids, of which there are more than 500 now, are being trained on a daily basis in ballet, but using the Cuban methodology. And the Cuban methodology, again, is special in that the Russians, the French, the American, the British, the Danish systems were all devised on the typical white, light body. The Cuban methodology is really looking at the mix of white, so-called colored, and black people, and looking at the slightly different shapes that exist, and then taking that into the ballet class and making that a reality. And when we've been to the schools, there's now of Kitty Pedler dancing with our kids. The kids absolutely love the ballet. And there's something that's so universal about a ballerina on point with a tutu and a tiara. Whether you're in Soweto, whether you're in Havana, Paris, New York, London, it has the same inspirational, aspirational quality. And that's really what it's about.
I'd like to know, ballet as a sport, and correct me if I'm wrong, is still very underrated in our country, where kids kind of always look at the cricket players, the rugby players. But ballet as a sport, it's an active, it's lifestyle, it's healthy. How as a ballet entrepreneur are you advancing that and challenging these stereotypes?
Well, I think that's what we are trying to do, is to say it is an art form, and we have to look that we never lose the artistic integrity. But at the same time, we need to move into the world of sport, into a much broader world where it gets television exposure, where it gets radio exposure, where it gets all the exposure that it needs. And then it needs to start being taken to all South Africans. And that's really where the program comes. We've been dancing this weekend in shopping centers. We have been on the Gau train. We have been in soccer stadia. And that's really how we are trying to ensure that all South Africans can start using it. Not only to become classical ballet dancers, but actually to become much more creative in finding solutions to the issues of South Africa, but also sports people. If they start using the ballet in their training, they will find that their core stability is much better, their balance is much better, their jumps are much higher, their reach in soccer and rugby is much broader. And that's really what you want to achieve. And that's what the Brazilian soccer team has done. There are many rugby teams in England. They actually brought the rugby team in, and they started working with them. So that's what we need to do. And I think once we reach that level where it isn't stigmatized, where it doesn't have the same way that people look at ballet dancers in one particular way, that's the time that we will actually reach as many as possible South Africans.
Well, Dirk, thank you so much for joining us again today and telling us all about this pirouette challenge. Hashtag Feed Your Soul. You can find it on social media at the moment, on Facebook, on Twitter, and on YouTube. I know I've also challenged Evan to a little pirouette challenge of our own, but we'll talk about that a bit later. Evan, back to you.
Provincial ANC structures held meetings over the weekend to discuss policy, strategies, and elect officials. The presidency of the ANC call for unity in KwaZulu-Natal and cadre deployment were some of the issues that came under the spotlight.
In the Northwest, the party says there's no harm in extending Jacob Zuma's term. The province wants to synchronize the terms of office of the country's and ANC's president. This could open the door for Zuma to stay on as ANC president for a further 18 months.
It's an all-round cadre of the movement. So if it can result in him being extended in office, no problem. It will not cause anybody a harm.
Zuma is on record saying he didn't want a third term as ANC president.